for hosting.
No problem.
Let's share the screen and let's get going. All right. Okay. Try.
Okay, should I read?
Yes.
Okay. Nathan Zackheim says, I refer to the eternal ISKCON composed of 6 letters created by Srila Prabhupada.
Wait. Why not go to the top, to the comment that was made by Bobby Hebert?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so Bobby Hebert says, ISKCON, what ISKCON are you referring to, the old one or the new one? Answer. I refer to the eternal ISKCON composed of 6 letters created by Srila Prabhupada and brought from Krishna Loka. Once the criminal GBC who murdered him in 1977 has been exposed as the murderous frauds that they are, and that they stole ISKCON from Srila Prabhupada from 1970 onward, then the eternal pure devotee Srila Prabhupada will continue to the living Acharya of ISKCON for 10,000 years, and the recorded kirtan melodies brought by him from Krishna Loka will be the only sounds memorized and chanted in the renewed ISKCON temples for the next 10,000 years. ISKCON with elected GBC, individually incorporated and filled with the superb Krishna Loka sounds of Srila Prabhupada's endless supply of disciples, will the what one will find in an ISKCON temple 500 years from now or 5,000 years from now. Made up melodies and dance styles will only create sectarianism among the temples, and according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that will lead to conflict and eventually war. Re-establish ISKCON with Srila Prabhupada as the self-effulgent Acharya for the next 10,000 years, and the mission of Lord Chaitanya will be fully fulfilled.
Okay. Thank you for reading, Prabhu. Can we go up to the top? Yes. Okay. Try. So someone might argue that Srila Prabhupada created an institution. How is it from Krishna Loka? Is it because that the message is spiritual? And that's why the institution is spiritual?
Well, let's consider, is Srila Prabhupada an ordinary man?
Okay.
No, he's not.
Okay, if he is not, is he a transparent via medium for Krishna? This is in writing, right?
Yes. So if he is a transparent via medium, and he's not an ordinary person, whatever he creates
is not ordinary.
It's not ordinary, right?
Yeah. So if he's a transparent via medium for Krishna, Krishna is purely spiritual. And transparent via medium, like, supposing you go to a psychic, they're transparently trying to understand your astral existence and stuff like that.
Yes.
There's a transparency there, and they are connecting with facts from the other side. Meaning, if you pay them $50 and they do a trance and stuff like that. So in the case of Srila Prabhupada, he came here uninvited, unsolicited from India, we think. But if he's a transparent via medium for Krishna, as he demonstrated himself to be over and over again, then he's transparent via medium of Krishna, which he demonstrated over and over again, then it would stand. Is there any way to avoid the impression that whatever he transparently via medium to us here on planet Earth did not come from Krishna. I mean, are we going to say he's a transparent vita medium, but every once in a while he comes up with something of his own, which has nothing to do with Krishna?
Yeah.
You see that the logical point there.
Yeah, if he's from Krishna Loka and he's a transparent via medium, why would he create something mundane?
Or on his own.
On his own, right? Yes.
So, assuming that because he created ISKCON in New York City as a corporation, in ISKCON Inc., are we going to say that that is a material thing? Or did Srila Prabhupada actually do any material things?
Well,
yeah. So, okay. So
he didn't
that
do
brings
any
up
material things.
He didn't do any material things. Excellent. So
he did
so
or
if
did
we
not?
Did not.
Okay, if he did not do any material things, then we've been misunderstanding Prabhupada from the beginning. The good guys and the bad guys, the followers and the enemies, the sinister movement within the society called GBC. We've all misunderstood Prabhupada from the beginning because we assumed that whatever he did in New York was New Yorkish and it was registered in New York as ISKCON. We never questioned where did it come from. Nor did we look for an answer to where did it come from. You know, as I quote many times, the song of Narottam Das Thakur, Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Loka. But with chanting, I have no connection. Day and night, I'm burning in this dark world, refusing to make the connection. You see, so Hare Krishna comes straight from Krishna Loka. So can we not say ISKCON comes straight from Krishna Loka? Is there any way to believe that whatever comes from Krishna Loka is some of it is material, some of it is spiritual, some of it is Prabhupada's discretion, some of it is not? If Prabhupada is a transparent via medium, that means he's sacrificed his own ego for Krishna's desire and Krishna's will. Not just sometimes, but 100%. This is something that he never emphasized because he had material disciples. What is he going to do? Say, I'm so far out, I'm so far away from you guys that there's nothing you can do about it. He's left it for us to understand this.
Joy.
So go ahead with what you were saying.
So this understanding that, okay, Srila Prabhupada, pure devotee from Krishna Loka, coming down, propagating Krishna consciousness on the order of Lord Chaitanya, transparent via medium, he created an institution named International Society for Krishna Consciousness, wrote hundreds of books, and then opened hundreds of temples. His institution, ISKCON, is a spiritual institution. And it's a representation. What can you say? It's a spiritual movement. So,
is this your words?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then.
So if it is, then speak very deliberately so that we can understand each word.
Then we see that he did certain things, created temples, set up the management of the temples, and then set up the whole program. So now, if we have misunderstood Srila Prabhupada as a transparent via medium from Krishna Loka, we have totally misunderstood his movement also. Isn't it logical?
That is exactly, I agree exactly, yes. We have understood everything about his coming here.
So, that being said, if we minimize Srila Prabhupada as some ordinary person, or if we have in our understanding that he's some ordinary person, then we miss out on the whole thing. because we are equating a representative from Krishna Loka, transparent by medium, to be some ordinary person. So how can we?
Yes.
So how can ISKCON be reformed if people have a mentality that, oh, Srila Prabhupada was just an ordinary person, just like, just a special person, or he's an acharya. They use the term founder acharya without actually understanding his actual, status.
And it's like
Well,
they
we can refer to Thakur Box Vinod, who said that when Rupa, what did you say? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that when they do offer like honor to Srila Prabhupada, it's almost like sentimental. It's not like a literal sense of we do what he does.
Right. It's like, you can say derivative. It's almost like if I say something, what's your authority? Oh, my teacher told me, or my dad told me, or my mom told me.
Yeah.
We refer to a higher authority, which we do not have any transcendental relationship to.
So that being said, for ISKCON to be reformed, not reformed, to return to its original glory, we have a lot of work to do to, how can we say, to make it clear to all the devotees watching online on Facebook, the actual position of Srila Prabhupada, which they might have misunderstood, or they have misunderstood.
Well, yeah. Well, that would certainly be a beginning, but it could be even bigger than that. May I say, what?
Sure.
I'm going to say something. What if Srila Prabhupada coming here, creating ISKCON, recording melodies, giving lectures, everything on tape, writing and printing books, establishing the temples the way they ought to be.
Yes.
What if he came here knowing that we would run out of fuel in everything we're doing? We'd run out of
Can you elaborate?
In other words, what if he knew that with all of these people, oh, no, 100,000 rules for chanting, running around, making up their own melodies, creating their own gurus, doing all of this stuff, that in the end, they would not have a choice but to come back to him? What if the whole thing was planned in advance, that Prabhupada would wait for all the little, suppose he's like a hen with a bunch of chicks. He's waiting, all the chicks go running around and round and round, but ultimately the chicks have to come back to the hen.
So you think...
What if Prabhupada's sound vibration is the only sound vibration for the next 10,000 years? That would get away from Thakur Bhakti Vinod's problem of the sectarianism building. Each generation of transfer of knowledge creates more sectarianism, right?
Yes.
And can you imagine ISKCON with all these sectarian temples? Supposing we had 7,000 of them. 7,000 temples, each one with its own guru. What sort of teaching will they ultimately be teaching?
Okay, we have Vinayak Sharma.
Okay.
Who's on?
Excellent.
Vinayak
Sharma.
Vinayak Prabhu, my obeisances to you. Please accept my blessings.
Right.
Indeed.
So you mentioned that ISKCON having 7,000 temples and each having its individual guru, right? That's very dangerous. It's happening to a large degree.
Put it this way, that's ISKCON with 7,000 gurus. What happens 50 years or 100 years from then, 100 years from then, 100 years from then? What have you got left?
You have burnt remnants.
You see, we're talking, everyone's talking about building up their little army
Sangha.
and their little arsenal and their little philosophy base and their little, I'm a disciple of Prabhupada, you're not, and all of that, or I'm not a disciple of Prabhupada, but it's better, they're all doing their thing. How does it end? Will it not continue to get more and more confusing?
Well, it is getting more and more confusing because I'm looking at from my experience in the last 2008 till 2022. Yeah, it
Well,
has
this
changed
is, and
drastically.
this is only the first
Hare Krishna,
52,
everyone. Hari Bol.
the first
Good
52 years.
Yeah,
In the
Right.
first 52 years. So, why did Prabhupada came from Krishna Loka? Which we agree he
Yes.
did, right?
yes,
And supposing he chanted and recorded his chanting,
yes.
well,
there.
do you
Yeah.
think that he intended at that time that everyone will ultimately have to come back to hear his chanting, or they're messed up, they're screwed?
What do you mean screwed? I mean,
I mean that they won't be able to go on very long. In
yeah,
other words, look at what's happening right now. It's chaos.
Yeah.
When you think about
is.
ISKCON and the problems and the IC and this and
the
that.
bureau.
Yeah, the bureau, all of those things. You think of all the devotees that are in, all the devotees that are out. You think of the Paranjans that are busy screaming about this, that, and the other thing. All of that is based on not being surrendered to Prabhupada's personal sound vibration. If everyone were surrendered to Prabhupada's personal sound vibration, all the clamoring would stop. Now, I'm not saying there wouldn't be a bunch of ashrams and whatnot all over the place doing their own thing. Fine. Let them do their own thing, But I'm talking about ISKCON. ISKCON, if you had like 100 ISKCON temples with 50 devotees in each one, and they were studying Prabhupada's kirtan through headphones and chanting no other way, how long would it take before people became completely attracted to ISKCON as a source of spiritual inspiration?
Very fast, maybe in a week or two, that's it. Maybe even less.
Something. Well, maybe a month or two, or a year or two, a decade or two, but they would become attracted, right?
Immediately, that's what is my attraction.
So is that what Prabhupada? So let's ask ourselves: is this my idea and your idea, or is this what Prabhupada intended when he chanted these things, knowing that in the end we would have no choice but to come back to him?
Yeah.
Which is why he painstakingly recorded all of his kirtans.
Yeah.
Yeah, he recorded them. What if he recorded them so that they would be the standard for the next 1,000 years?
Yeah.
In other words, what if he knew there is no shelter except him?
Hare Krishna, yeah.
Is there any shelter except Srila Prabhupada himself?
No.
So you can say, but he gave me the power to what you call it, the officiating Acharya ISKCONs and whatnot, officiating Acharya initiations. What can be the outcome? So you can do that, but in the end, if you want to be Krishna conscious, we're not going to be going to 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th generation people with no hard and fast rules standard for their kirtans. Why? Because look around you. I mean, I can look around myself. When I was born, people like Frank Sinatra were the popular singers, right?
Right.
I'm just talking about the changes of human society.
Right.
Frank Sinatra, people like that were popular singers. And then it came forward more. And then in the 50s, people like Bobby Darin and Chuck Berry and people like that became popular singers. And then after that, it goes on, and then you get the Rolling Stones and the Beatles being popular singers. And then it goes on, and you're starting to get rap music and crazy people and people killing each other and drugs and fentanyl culture going on. And it's getting worse, not better. So what will it be like? And this is a period of what? This is a period of, just maybe 60 years or something at the most, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
So what will go on from here for no hard and fast rules for chanting Hare Krishna? Are you waiting for breakdance kirtans? Are you waiting for acid rock rap kirtans? What are you waiting for?
That was tried.
I mean,
Wasn't that
it
tried?
can go further. Is there any limit to how far the breakdown can go if it follows popular culture and no hard and fast rules?
ISKCON Bangalore has heavy metal kirtans.
Oh my.
Well, they've sort of screwed themselves, haven't they? So maybe our influence will influence Bangalore. As long as they keep up Akshaya Patra, it's fine. I can forgive them for anything.
Chai.
But so you see, so there's the point. So this no hard and fast rules is a disease, a hideous disease.
I mean, if you really look at it, there was hard and fast rules. Prabhupada set up the 4 regulator principles. He gave the whole system. So in that way, there are hard and fast rules for going back to Godhead, meaning that you have to follow the Acharya's exact instructions without...
Yes, but in the Gurvastakam, it says there's no hard and fast rules for chanting the Hare Krishna mantra.
Well, that may be the case, but Prabhupada gave the Hare Krishna mantra and how to chant it and how to have programs. So why are we deviating from that standard?
Well, the hard and fast rules that Lord Chaitanya is talking about meant you don't have to be a certain type of Brahmin to chant Hare Krishna. Any malacha, any drug dealer, any rap artist, they can all chant Hare Krishna. But we cannot say there's no hard and fast rules for chanting, because here's a very simple formula. The minute that you take initiation, you have to and must follow the given example of your guru.
In ISKCON's case, it's Srila Prabhupada. Yes.
Yeah, even if that means no hard and fast rules for melodies, if you take initiation from Prabhupada or take initiation from someone who's taking initiation from Prabhupada, the hard and fast rules is you do not do anything different. You do not create a different sound vibration than the sound vibration uttered from the lotus lips of your spiritual master.
Right.
I mean, isn't that's standard ISKCON philosophy? What happened? What happened to the idea that you do not
deviate
from your spiritual master?
Yeah, the points we're discussing in these videos, no one discusses like this. People have they don't discuss it very deeply.
Yeah, go ahead.
Like I said, they say, "Oh, Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON." That's about it. Nothing else besides that.
Grandpa did it this way. Grandfather did it this way. We do it this way. Different ways. Well, that works fine. That doesn't even work in the material world.
Doesn't.
I mean, grandfather may have used a horse plow to plow the earth, or bull to plow the earth, but making a mechanized farming situation compresses the earth, destroys the natural living organisms in the soil, and creates a situation where now in the United States we're facing, without the Russian wheat and Ukrainian wheat, United States and much of the world can't survive.
Yeah.
You see, as long as everything was locally produced, it was fine.
Yeah, Prabhupada gave specific instructions for the devotees to be independent and the countries to be independent. Just like in Fiji, he said, what is this sugarcane? Why are you guys growing sugarcane? You guys should be independent in growing your own food. And
Yes.
he gave the instructions to all his disciples. But,
And that is
countries.
That is the hard and fast rule is stick with the original format.
Yeah.
Don't create your own format.
Yeah, don't create your own format, right? I mean, if you really look at it, Srila Prabhupada's institution, ISKCON, they have big temples coming up, big, all they're focusing on is, temple buildings and cash. They aren't focusing on the other parts of the instructions.
Yeah, well, if they focused on Prabhupada's melodies, everything else would fall into place.
Mm.
How can you focus on, what are you focusing on if you're not focusing on the sound vibration of the spiritual master?
Mm. Yeah.
I was amazed that in that video with Narendra Modi, that the Kirtanis, the people chanting Kirtan, actually were chanting Prabhupada melodies.
Jai.
And I'm thinking that because Narendra Modi was there, they didn't dare chant any other melody. Because Narendra Modi would say, why are you chanting a different melody?
Yeah, so I'd like to just say some comments here now that anyone who's watching this on Facebook and YouTube, if they have any questions, comments, realizations, or they would like to question us on this discussion, please join the WhatsApp group or post a message or send us a message on Facebook and YouTube. So these discussions are for solidifying our understanding of what Prabhupada exactly wanted and how it should be done. Like, for example, we're discussing about Srila Prabhupada's melodies, how that has been neglected. And because of that,
it's not just melodies. It's not just melodies. It's the entire sound vibration that he created by chanting. I mean, it's not just the melody, la-di-da-di-da. It is the entire way of chanting, which is reflective of the spiritual sky.
Mm.
Not reflective of growing up in Chicago.
Okay, Vinayak Prabhu, anything you want to say?
Yeah, so I wanted to ask a thing like that I heard in a previous meeting in which Narnarayan Prabhu was saying that once Srila Prabhupada in Vrindavan, maybe he paid obeisance to some Nityananda Vamsha guru, and he was saying that he paid obeisances to his line, not that person who was chewing betel nuts.
Exactly.
So, in one of the lectures, I heard this thing from Prabhupada that like Veerbhadra, the son of Lord Nityananda, was not having any son. So basically this seminal succession is not there. So how is it possible that Prabhupada accepted this thing, like he was giving honor to the line, which does not even exist in truth?
Well, it may have been Nityananda, but of course it could have been Advaita's followers too. Somebody had followers that sort of deviated like crazy. It may have been Advaita's followers. I'm not clear, and I regret if I've made any mistake in this matter.
Yeah, like Advaitas would have been there because there was some incidents that he was exchanging some letters with one of the descendants from that line. So it might be the Advaitas.
Yeah, whoever it is was descendant. But we can understand that they deviated like crazy.
Indeed.
And the followers of Lord Chaitanya deviated like crazy because apparently in the end, Lord Chaitanya stopped even being able to do real kirtans. He was practically just babbling and rolling in the ground. And so the group of people called the Bowels, B-A-U-L-S of India, came up, and they began to make, without any articulation or spiritual element, they began making sounds which they then used for getting money from the innocent population. And they were like very troublesome. They later on produced Ramakrishna in Bengal, in Calcutta.
Mm. So right now, like there are multiple followers, like these things are there, Prabhu, like you might be knowing about. Lot of Western people are like going there in Radhakund and being influenced about these deviations and feeling that like they are coming from a line, not from Vansh Parampara, so they must be having something in them which is not there in other lines.
Well, you know, we can't prevent anyone from doing anything, right? The whole secret to the jiva is that he has free will. He can do
Yes.
whatever he wants.
Yeah.
And you can see in our own lives. Look how we've been living since birth. Everything is
Yeah.
based on doing what we feel like doing.
Right.
Right?
Great.
So how can we can't fault, but we can attract. We can attract
Yes.
people, even if
So Prabhu, like one more thing I wanted to ask from you, like during those times, like Prabhupada visited many different cities and many famous cities in the world. So during those tours, like did Prabhupada used to visit the famous tourist attractions or like beaches or these kind of things of those cities just for the sake of visiting because he is in a particular city?
I don't understand what you just said, actually.
My question is like Prabhupada used to visit many different cities across the world, and many of those cities were very famous for their tourist attractions or these things. So
You mean that
Prabhupada used
Prabhupada
to,
went to different places just because they were famous tourist places?
yeah, like not just for the famous, just because he is in a city for some work, so he just also went to those places to see them. So were there any such incidents?
Well, in a sense, you know, like when we were in London, he took us to the Buckingham Palace and the various places where the Queen is crowned. But he also then pointed out the history around England and how on the crown of the Queen that is stolen from a deity in India, the Kohinoor diamond. I mean, he never did anything just tourist-like. You know?
So yeah, so sometimes like we also think like we are going to a new city and like visiting these tourist places may get some idea about like these things, like maybe Krishna consciousness. And sometimes we may think that it might be sense gratification to just visit touristic places for leisure and spending time there. And we might not be able to visit those
Prabhupada,
places.
that wasn't Prabhupada. Everywhere he went, Krishna consciousness increased all around him. For instance, you can see Prabhupada in front of the domes of the Russian churches, but he was there to talk to Professor Kartovsky. So
Yeah.
for Prabhupada to be famous walking in front of the great churches of Russia is not a flaw. It's just another asset. Does it make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
You see, he did not have any compromised views. And if he went anywhere, it was in the same mood.
Okay, we have Mohit and Mahaprabhu.
Okay.
Haribol, Hare Krishna.
Haribol Mahaprabhu.
All right, I'll be on.
I came by to see you yesterday, but you were in your cave.
Yes, I was. Oh, I'm sorry I missed you.
Jai.
I'll be listening in here for about 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll be cutting out early.
Oh, really? That's not good. Why cut out early?
Well, I'll be spending the night at a friend's house here on the west side, so I don't have to drive 100 miles.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they have an empty room, and they invited me, so great. Hare
Great.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Hare Krishna.
All right. Thank you for having me tonight.
Jai. You're welcome.
Thank you, Narayan.
We need you because we're dealing with issues. I hope you don't think that I am against the Catholic Church, which is the church of your birth. That's not the point. The point is...
I don't think that.
Hmm?
I don't think that.
Well, please don't, because I'm not.
Never.
No,
I understand.
Yes. We're trying to get to pure theology, and if we get to the pure theology of Krishna consciousness, we can get to the pure theology of Christianity as well.
Hare Krishna. Haribol.
Jai, Haribol. And Mohit Prabhu, how wonderful to have you on board.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Hare Bol. Jai.
Mohit
Jai.
Prabhu Haribol.
So Ramachandra cut out.
He did?
Yeah, he's not here anymore.
That puts
Oh.
you in charge, Rupa Manjari. Devi Dasi.
Ah, excellent.
I don't understand the Devi part.
Devi means, go ahead.
Means a demigoddess.
Now you know who you're dealing with. Dasi means
Charge, Rupa.
servant, female servant.
Got it.
Devi means servant. Whoever is
Hare Krishna.
surrendered to Krishna can be seen to be on the level of demigods.
Haribol.
So anyhow, now that everybody's on board again, do you think we should read that page again? Rupa,
Sure.
do you have access to being able to put it up?
Yeah.
Then why don't you do it and you do the reading? I don't think it was as redundant as you said it was. Some definitely new elements. So Mohit Prabhu? Is Mohit there?
He probably stepped away.
Oh. Well, we need to, you should is there any way you can check to see if he's on or off, Rupa?
It says he's here.
Okay, because it's important for him to hear this too. And be sure to read Bobby Hebel's comment first, okay?
Okay, Mohit is talking, but it's breaking up.
Oh, what's going on? Can Mohit hear?
I don't know. I think so.
Well, I was asking.
Well, he's breaking up. I can't hear what he's saying. Oh, he just cut out.
Okay. So anyhow, we're dealing with the idea of what if Srila Prabhupada knew that for the sake of the whole golden age of Kali, for the whole spread of 10,000 years over the world, the breadth of the world, with all of the information required to deliver the fallen souls, what if he knew that his chanting, which was recorded, but ultimately everyone would have to come back to it on the recordings in order to deliver the world? What if he already knew that there was no alternative? And he just let people go ahead and do this, that, and the other thing, including letting them poison him, which is sort of a temporary idea for a person who's eternal. So what if he already knew and he'd planned it out so that people in the end would have no, it's like the chicks in the end running around being powerful little independent chicks. In the end, they all have to come back and cuddle underneath the hen. They have no other place that they can go. And if they stay out, they'll get eaten by some predator. So what if Prabhupada knew that we would all have to come back, listen to his recordings, and use his recordings as the basis for kirtan, not the jabberwalling that goes on in ISKCON temples? Who came on, Rupa?
Mohit.
Hare, Hare
Mohit's
Krishna,
back,
Prabhu.
okay.
Sorry. My
Okay.
network issue. Sorry.
Can you hear clearly?
Sure, Hare Krishna. Yes.
Okay, Rupa, go ahead.
Okay. Bobby.
This is a conversation between Bobby Hebert, who's a very senior devotee, and a response given by Narayana Das. Go ahead.
Hare Bol, Jai.
Bobby Hebert says, ISKCON, what ISKCON are you referring to, the old one or the new one? Naranarayan says, I refer to the eternal ISKCON composed of 6 letters created by Srila Prabhupada and brought from Krishna Loka. Once the criminal GBC who murdered him in 1977 has been exposed as the murderous frauds that they are, and that they stole ISKCON from Srila Prabhupada from 1970 onward, then the eternal pure devotee Srila Prabhupada will continue to the living Acharya of ISKCON for 10,000 years, and the recorded kirtan melodies brought by him from Krishna Loka will be the only sounds memorized and chanted in the renewed ISKCON temples for the next 10,000 years. ISKCON with elected GBC individually incorporated and filled with the super Krishna Loka sounds of Srila Prabhupada's endless supply of disciples will be what one will find in an ISKCON temple 500 years from now or 5,000 years from now. Made up melodies and dance styles will only create sectarianism among the temples, and according to Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that will lead to conflict and eventually war. Reestablish ISKCON with Srila Prabhupada as a self-effulgent Acharya for the next 10,000 years, and the mission of Lord Chaitanya will be fully fulfilled.
And everybody's invited to jump in and say something.
I'm surprised that he said the new ISKCON or the old ISKCON. And I greatly appreciate your response to that, the one and only ISKCON.
Well, yes, but you see, I have been in communication with Bobby Hebert. I didn't realize it was Bobby Hebert who wrote that when I wrote the response. But
That's like saying the new Christ or the old Christ.
Well, he
There's only
said
one
ISKCON
Christ.
but yes, of course. But he's been saying that ISKCON is dead, throw it on the trash. There's nothing to be done. So I've been communicating with him about ISKCON not being. So he's saying it's very refreshing for me to hear him say the old ISKCON or the new ISKCON. And then I went on to respond, there's only one ISKCON.
Haribol.
This is part of a multi-page conversation I've been having with Bobby Hebert.
Prabhupada's ISKCON.
Well, yes.
There's no other ISKCON as I understand it.
Well,
Of what
there
I've
isn't,
learned.
except that the GBC took over ISKCON and is holding it hostage like a person with a knife to the throat of ISKCON.
For many years now.
Well, not many. We're talking out of 10,000 years? Very few years. 52 years out of 10,000. Hard to even keep track of 52 years up to 10,000. Unless you're one of those people who only lives to be 80, 90, or 100 years old. In which case, that's a big period of time. But if you look at history, it's not a big period of time.
It just surprised me that he said new ISKCON or old ISKCON. It's just one ISKCON.
Well, it's because of the conversation he's been having with me. Because he said ISKCON is dead. ISKCON is dead. So for him to say old ISKCON or new ISKCON is like a plant dying, and then now we see the seeds went down and are sprouting out of the soil. His idea of old ISKCON is the one he says is dead. New ISKCON is what I've been talking about. So it's like when you water the seeds, they begin to sprout and come out of the soil. I was raised on a farm, but anyhow, if you know what I mean.
It seems as though you want to keep it classical, yet he wants to modify things.
What makes you think that?
Well, it seems like you're more orthodox Krishna than he is.
It's hard to say what Orthodox is because everybody jumped on the wagon of manufacturing, modifying manufacturing. You see, Lord Chaitanya said there's no hard and fast rules for chanting the holy name. On the strength of that, the GBC and other criminal elements within ISKCON said you can chant any melody you like. In the beginning of the movement, we only chanted Prabhupada's melodies. But it never occurred to us that a time would come when people would say no hard and fast rules means you can chant any horrible melody and it's the same as Prabhupada chanted.
Vinayak Prabhu, you wanted to say something, Prabhu. What you wanted to make?
Yeah, is there any evidence, any description in Shastras about the melodies of Kirtan?
Oh, what do you mean by that?
Generally this theory that the melodies of Kirtan should be only like Prabhupada's melodies, other melodies would not be good because it might not be Hare Krishna mantra or something else. So why is it emphasizing on some melodies and rejecting other melodies is
why Prabhupada melodies, are you saying?
Yeah, is there some description given by Prabhupada about these melodies only, that melodies cannot do this kind of thing?
Okay, so if you're a disciple of a guru, how many melodies, where will you get your melodies?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Well, that's out of creativity. We can get a Harinam or mantra from a guru, but melodies we can just...
Supposing you take initiation from Prabhupada or one of his descendants. Suppose you take initiation from Prabhupada, where will you get your melodies from?
Yeah, why would you even make things up? I mean, if you're a disciple, then you follow what the Guru Acharya says, right? Why?
Yeah, that can also be followed, but it's not the singing in a new melody is not singing a different mantra. Like if the mantra is the same, then what's the problem with the other melodies?
The melody is coming from the guru, and if it's a bona fide guru, he's coming from Krishna Loka.
Jai.
And Uttama Adhikari means a resident of Krishna Loka who has come here to deliver the souls. I would like to know who would chant a melody other than his melody if he came to deliver the fallen souls. Wouldn't I want to be delivered also by chanting his melody? See,
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
each
it
guru,
does make sense.
each guru has their own melodies. I'm sure if you heard Thakur Bhaktivinoda chanting, completely different than his son, Bhakti Siddhanta chanting, completely different, and Prabhupada chanting, completely different. Now, are we talking about the bowels of Bengal and a bunch of rascals running around Calcutta trying to get money from women with nose rings in their left nostril? I mean, what is it we're trying to accomplish here? The Ramakrishna spoiled everything with the bowels of Bengal by trying to make everything sahaja. So, I mean, are that the mantras we want to be chanting? Why don't we chant? If we have a pure devotee as a spiritual master, let me ask one simple question. If I have a spiritual master who's a pure devotee, am I lucky or unlucky?
You're more than lucky.
You're lucky, yeah.
I'm asking.
Yes.
I'm asking.
You're asking
Yeah,
Vinayak,
you
but
are
I'm
lucky.
answering.
Yes.
Yeah, you are lucky.
Vinayak, I'm asking Vinayak, I'm asking anybody except Ramachandra. if I have a pure devotee, spiritual master, am I lucky or unlucky?
Yeah,
to have
you
that
are
spiritual
lucky.
master? If I'm lucky, why do I want to tempt and change my luck by chanting differently than he does?
Whoa.
I mean, does that
Yeah.
sound even, is there even a touch of sanity to that?
Absolutely not.
Well, absolutely not is right. So why are people chanting differently than Prabhupada? It's because the GBC corrupted ISKCON and wanted them to chant differently than Srila Prabhupada so that they would then ultimately be able to open their own temples with their own gurus and then control the whole thing, which they do, and own all the temples, which they do, and then they would be the complete masters of ISKCON.
Yeah.
But that's not the intention of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada did not want one group of people to be the only masters of ISKCON. He wanted each temple president to be the master of his own temple, follow as a disciple of Prabhupada, following Prabhupada, not following somebody else. Supposing you take initiation from a pure devotee and you go off and start your own temple chanting something else. How would that sound to your spiritual master?
Well, Prabhupada stopped that many times. We have actual recorded evidence of people chanting and dancing unauthorizedly, and Prabhupada stopped that.
Yeah.
So we're not making
But
all
what
this up.
could he use? Could he stop every kirtan?
Not every kirtan, but whenever he was present, when people
Well, even when he was present, they chanted that other stuff.
Yeah.
So what could he do? Either you are willing to surrender and obey your spiritual master, or you're not. And they wanted to be initiated disciples. They wanted to take sannyas. They wanted to become successor gurus without chanting like Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, so we have some questions now we want to address from our devotees online.
That's for tonight's, they're questioning for tonight or from some other time?
Yeah, from tonight's discussion.
That's wonderful. I bow down to them.
Jai. Okay, one devotee says Hare Krishna, and one devotee says business only, And the question here from another devotee is, Hare Bol, is being a disciple of Prabhupada the only way to liberation? Is that your view? Did Prabhupada explicitly command to chant like him only? So that question was answered in our discussion. Did Prabhupada explicitly...
Let me answer it one
Okay.
more time. And that is, who would be so stupid not to?
Yeah, following in the footsteps of...
You're being
Acharya.
delivered from the material world by someone who chants in a certain way, and you're supposed to emulate your spiritual master, follow in the footsteps of your spiritual master. Why go dancing off in some other footsteps somewhere else and still expect to be delivered?
Yeah.
A little ridiculous, no?
Yeah. And then he asks, or she asks a further question, Hare Bol, is being a disciple of Prabhupada the only way to liberation? Is that your view? That seems like a general question.
Is being a disciple of Prabhupada the only way to become liberated?
Yeah. Is that
Well-
your view?
Well, my view is that the liberator of the jiva has to be a pure devotee of Krishna who can be described as the transparent via medium of Krishna. Unless the pure devotee is connected to Krishna as a pure devotee, how can his disciple go back to Godhead? By what means will he go back to Godhead?
Right.
I mean, why would anyone want to go away from the source of guaranteed success to do something else?
Yeah. Yeah. It's very...
Sort of like saying, I'm going to drive my car to New York and I'm on the super freeway. And now I got this idea that I want to go going through a whole bunch of different side streets and around in circles and maybe get stuck in the mud somewhere and go here, go there, and end up in Mexico. Why would I do that if my goal is to go straight to New York?
Yeah. Yeah. Follow the chalked out route, which has been,
Yeah.
already...
Well, there's no hard and fast rules for going to New York. Well, why not take the freeway that goes to New York? Why go sideways? Why go backwards? Why go around in circles? Why go to some other destination first?
Mm.
If you want to go to New York, get in your car, get out your GPS, and go to New York. The GPS is not going to give you stupid advice of where you can go besides New York while going to New York.
So now my question here is, people who are inspired by Srila Prabhupada to take up the process of Krishna consciousness through his books, letters, conversations, they join ISKCON, meaning that, for example, I give someone a book and they love Prabhupada's books, they want to dedicate their life to Srila Prabhupada, and then they are looking for association, meaning that, people with like mind, they come to an ISKCON temple, which is run by the Mafia GBC and appointed gurus. It seems like it's very hard for them to get out of that conditioning,
Well,
conditioned
they
state.
got into it because they were told it's what is right. They were told that this is what Prabhupada wanted them to do. So why would they do something other than what Prabhupada wanted them to do? And they figure ISKCON is Prabhupada's movement. These are Prabhupada's books, more or less, what's left of them. And there's kirtans, no hard and fast rules. Why? If this is what Prabhupada wants, then I'll do it. And I'll do it with my whole heart and give all my life savings.
And also it's Prabhupada's disciples that are telling them that, so they don't want to go against Prabhupada's disciples.
Yeah, why would you go against the disciples of the person you want to take you back to Godhead?
So this is a problem that we have to deal with here, no? Because
we have to deal with the context. We have to deal with the contextual problem.
What do you mean by that?
We have to slice off the cancerous GBC from ISKCON. expose them for the
Okay.
crimes they've committed. And I don't want to get into a list of crimes because it would take
No,
too
no,
many
no,
hours.
not here. Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not here. So there are lists of crimes, and most of these crimes are by subverting ISKCON in such a way that people think that Prabhupada's will and choice and desire is fulfilled by people claiming to be bona fide ISKCON gurus, whereas a guru must be an uttamadhikari, pure devotee of the Lord.
Hmm.
And these gurus are appointed by men who are just ordinary politicians.
Yeah, yeah.
So how can a politician appoint a pure devotee of the Lord?
Yeah, I mean this really makes sense. But if a disciple of the criminal GBC appointed guru, they hear this, what do they actually hear? Saying, I mean,
From
we
the
understand
from the guru? They should hear from the guru. They should hear from us.
they hear from us. No, they hear from us this, what we're
Okay,
saying.
they hear
It really,
from us. Say this is a revolution in the brewing. When the revolution starts, it's just a bunch of peasants muttering to each other in the fields. But when the revolution takes place, they bring out their scythes and their pitchforks and attack the aggressors.
so we're starting a revolution.
Right now, we're just conspiring against the
Perpetrators.
the perpetrators, demons really, who have taken over
demons.
ISKCON.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we're doing this and making the ruckus and raising, hopefully this generation of devotees, or the next, or the next, or the next, somebody, it'll catch on somewhere, somehow, because the truth, by being uttered, ends up prevailing. The only time the truth doesn't prevail is when it's hidden or disguised by saying it's a lie. But what we find that after about less than 2 years of the League for 10K, we're having an impact on major people in ISKCON.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, yeah.
People are dissatisfied, but they don't know what to do. Because they don't know what to do, they go along with it.
Yeah,
go along to get along, right?
Go along to get along, yeah.
But now there's going to be dissatisfaction. So my goal in life, in this lifetime, is to create sufficient dissatisfaction where, hopefully in my lifetime, and maybe in the next 5 years would be more ideal, we'll see ISKCON restored to Srila Prabhupada, and the other guys, the GBC, are not GBC, they are
criminals.
Well, there's other words.
Criminal is a nice
other
word.
letters that could be applied to them.
So these people who have hijacked the movement, the criminal GBC, and their appointed gurus, what is going to be their position in a ISKCON restored to Prabhupada's original instructions? As God brothers,
whose position?
The position of the GBC and the position of the appointed gurus.
They will be exfoliated, meaning they'll come off in a big cancerous slab. Now, what they want to do about it is up to them. They can surrender to Prabhupada and join ISKCON again, or they can stay where they are and do the nonsense as long as they can get away with it. In other words, the GBC, in my opinion, should all go to Mayapur. We'll lock the door and let them sweat it out there while they starve to death.
Well, yeah. They're making a big building there. So
good, they can die in it. Ugly building.
Yeah, so I'd like to open it up for comments and questions and realizations from our devotees here. Rupa Manjari, Vinayak, whoever else is Mahaprabhu.
Mohit? Is Mohit still here? Sure. So go ahead. Lead the way. Chairman of
There's
the
a devotee named Lakshmi Almenda ISKCON. I offer my humble obeisance to His Divine Grace. Srila Prabhupada, responsibility and accountability. Who will be the Guru after 10,000 years has passed? And there's a question by another devotee: who will be the Guru after 10,000 years has passed? Actually, Srila Prabhupada has a conversation with Ellen Greensburg about the future. So you should hear that conversation about what's going to happen in the future. Prabhupada talks about his disciples and then the Krishna consciousness
The
movement.
golden age of Kali is only 10,000 years out of 432,000 years.
Yeah. Yes.
So 10,000 years is nothing. Just like the GBC usurping ISKCON for 52 years out of 10,000 years is nothing. So 10,000 years out of 432,000 years is nothing.
Yeah.
You see, it's nothing. But there will be no more chanting Hare Krishna after the golden age of Kali. It's called the golden age of Kali, not because we're going to be rolling around with golden bracelets all over our bodies. It's called the golden age of Kali because it's a golden opportunity to get the hell out of here, to get out of the material world. And Lord Chaitanya came. I don't know if Lord Chaitanya is going to remain for the rest of the age of Kali, but I do know he will be here for the 10,000 years of the golden age of Kali.
Right.
What do you mean that he will be here?
Well, will Lord Chaitanya be present while the cannibals are busy eating each other?
Well, I mean, what do you mean by present?
Well, will he still be the Yuga avatar for that part of the Yuga? What generally happens in such cases is the great saints go off into the Himalayas and stay there in a meditative state. We already have Vyasadeva in the Himalayas. And I've heard that Asvatthama's in the Himalayas. And I've heard even that Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose is in the Himalayas. In other words, people go there and they stay there like in neutral condition until that whole dangerous episode of Kali Yuga is gone. But to answer that question directly, you will not want to be here up to the end of 10,000 years. So that's why we, in the League for 10K, the League for 10,000 Years of the Golden Age of Kali, we are busy working day and night to be sure that you are back to Godhead before the end of the 10,000 years. And we are working day and night to assure that there will be bona fide Prabhupada-centered ISKCON temples until the end of the Golden Age of Kali, and all this nonsense, hopping, dancing, scrambling around kirtans will be gone because they do not have the potency to deliver anyone from birth and death.
Right. Okay, so
And we are introducing the idea for discussion, and I think we should ask our fellow members on Mohit and our other fellow members on board. Is it possible? I'm raising the question. I think it's not only possible, but I think it's a fact. But you can look at it. Is it possible that Srila Prabhupada chanted on his recordings? So because he knew that in the end we would have no choice but to go back to him. The Uttama Adhikari is the source. Everybody after Uttama Adhikari begins the process of secularization. And once that secularization kicks in, war results between the different branches of ISKCON. So the only way to keep us intact is so that no one hears anything that isn't directly from the lips of the pure devotee. So if you're going to a temple, either you'll be hearing the lips of the pure devotee from a recording, or you will be schooled in the lips of the sound vibration of the pure devotee. So when they come into a ISKCON kirtan, there will be Prabhupada melody done beyond anything we've ever heard before, even when Prabhupada was here. We always chanted Prabhupada's melodies when he was here. And it was only in 1970 they began to branch out with this no hard and fast rule garbage. But what will occur is that if we have chanting, if Prabhupada is finally discovered to be the only source of pure chanting, they will have to go to his recordings. And once the recordings are accessed, people won't just listen to them and chant something else. They'll listen to them and broadcast them all over the world. Can you imagine a kirtan party of 150 men going out in the streets, playing mridangas like Lord Chaitanya's style, and chanting Prabhupada's melodies all over a city? Can you imagine what will happen to those people? When we did it back in 1969 in Los Angeles, Mr. John and I did, we'd get 3, 4, 5 people. We'd send out 20 people on Sankirtan each. Sometimes it was 2 buses or two vans with 10 men each. We go out and chant in the streets of Hollywood, and often enough we'd come back with 1, 2, or 3 people that wanted to join the temple just by hearing us chanting in the street. That doesn't happen when you're chanting bogus stuff. It only happens, and now nobody's joining. You go to New Dwarka, there's nobody there. In Los Angeles Temple, nobody there, it's empty.
Well, it's only the Mexicans are joining for a green card.
Yeah, well, they're trying to, but even Mexicans are not joining. There's nobody there. 2 Guatemalans, but no Mexicans. No, I'm just kidding. So anyhow, you get the point that in the end, it seems that Prabhupada designed it in such a way that we would have to come back to his kirtan to succeed. So we might as well start that process now and create all the new ISKCON temples only chanting Prabhupada off of his recordings.
So when you mentioned new temples, you mean new temples that
Anywhere.
Many times people have a conception of new temple means that, oh, my temple, or people have been conditioned like that.
Well,
so we
process,
have to make
our task is to uncondition them.
Yes, whenever you say start something new, people have understanding. Oh, you're gonna do something new, meaning that
with the GBC.
Yeah.
But we're not going to deal with the GBC. So many people are starting preaching centers now. If we can convince them to chant only Prabhupada kirtans by listening to Prabhupada through headphones and learning to chant perfectly, they will see themselves the effects. It's not like it's a moral principle, or you have to do it, or it's your duty to do it. It's not like that. You'll see what happens when people come into the temple. They'll be transported. You'll see what happens when you're chanting in the streets. People will be attracted by incredibly attracted. This is the way it was in the old days. You see, I'm old enough I was on Sankirtan in 1968. It's easy enough to see how attracted people are to hearing Prabhupada's melodies. And we did them badly. We didn't study them with headsets. We heard them from Prabhupada and we chanted accordingly. But what if we learn them now after Prabhupada was murdered? What if we hear them now from Prabhupada's recordings and study them down to the last vibration? and bring that vibration of Prabhupada out into the streets? Will it not transform human society? It's a big issue because it's not a question of modifying the existing ISKCON temples. It's a question of starting over, beyond starting over. It's a question of going to a standard which we cannot afford to wait to implement. We need Prabhupada himself. And the only way to have Prabhupada himself is through his recordings. And if we learn to chant from his recordings and teach people to chant from his recordings, and then have kirtan in the temple as though it were his recordings, not with playing his recordings during kirtan, we chant, but with Prabhupada's melodies. How can that not produce a good result?
Yeah, we have
And-
some comments in that regard, so I'd like to
Great.
read it.
Great.
There's this devotee that's making a comment here. He's saying his name is Kam Islami. He says Ashwatthama will be the Vyas of the next Manvantar. And then he further says, your position seems to be that if the recordings were lost, so would Prabhupada's teachings. But that does not seem right and exact. Let me read it.
Prabhupada's
read it again.
Prabhupada's teachings exist in his books, but it's not too late to pick up Prabhupada's sound vibrations. How are we going to lose them? Well, if the sound vibration of Prabhupada chanting recorded is the standard, then I'm sure with today's technology, we can come up with little different sound buds or something of that sort with all of Prabhupada's kirtans on them. The question is, will Prabhupada's kirtan recordings last for 10,000 years? And the question is, who knows? It depends on how they're recorded.
Yeah, an archive.
But if we spend the first 50 years, the next 50 years, the next 100 years, 200 years, however long the recordings last, then everyone will simply have the melodies themselves. So they will not need Prabhupada's recording to chant. They will know every nuance of Prabhupada's kirtans themselves. That'll be part of becoming a devotee. We'll be learning everything the way Prabhupada did it, chanting.
He further says, if Prabhupada or any other guru's legacy is to carry on, it can only happen via a chain of guru-disciple instruction, not via recording.
Why?
Can I read it again?
No, I got it. Or do you want to read it for everyone? But I got it.
Okay. If Prabhupada or any other guru's legacy is to carry on, it can only happen via a chain of guru-disciple instruction, not via recording.
Okay, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, who is the founder of our branch of Gaudiya Vaishnavism, the father of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, who is the guru of Prabhupada, disagrees. He says that when the pure devotee chants or speaks, it is pure, coming from his transcendental lips. The minute you have lumpy guru-disciple, it becomes what is known as sectarian. And when it becomes sectarian, everyone believes what their branch, supposing the sectarian thing goes on and on and on, the way this devotee is described. What is the name of the devotee?
Yes.
Or just, huh?
His name is, he says, I don't know what his name is, but it's CALMISLAMLY. Kam
Wow,
Islami.
that's a cool name.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
So-
Kalea Swami.
Yeah,
if
Clay
that's
Swami,
it.
yeah. Whatever it is.
Okay, so if that's your name, so, or close to it, or even not so close to it. If you have people teaching people who are teaching people who are teaching people who are teaching people for 10,000 years, what will you end up with? Now, are you suggesting that each person that does the teaching is a pure devotee? Okay, that's great. Where will you get all those pure devotees?
Yeah.
I mean, Prabhupada came here. I have not seen, I traveled all over India for starting in 1971. I traveled all over India and was living in India off and on for 10 years. I have not met any pure devotee other than Srila Prabhupada. Oh, there's plenty of people that are puffed up and saying, oh, you got to go to this Guru Swamiji. But you go to this Guru Swamiji and he's preaching materialism. He's not pure devotee. And he's certainly not teaching the, if there's another pure devotee like Prabhupada, then you will know, because he will be making the mission of Lord Chaitanya absolutely famous.
Yeah.
He won't be making himself famous. He'll be making the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and Lord Chaitanya's activities famous. Why? Because that's what Prabhupada did. Are you going to say, well, he does it in a different way? No, there is no other way. Yeah, ways of chant, not the way of, in this day and age, of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That's the Yuga Dharma. That is the Dharma for this age. Anybody preaching something else is not with it. Even if the God brothers of Prabhupada or God nephews of Prabhupada, if they're not doing that, then it's bogus. It's useless. Not even bogus, useless, tasteless, no benefit. So once you have a bunch of gurus lined up, that would work. If one was Thakur Bhakti Vinod, the other is Bhakti Gorkashore Das Babaji, the other is Bhakti Siddhanta, the next is Prabhupada. Okay, and then the next is the next
Joe
is,
Biden. Joe Biden.
The next is a recording of Prabhupada. Where are you going to find it? The whole flaw in our dear God brothers' philosophy in this matter is, it's like the cats all came to a conclusion. I mean, the mice all came to a conclusion that how can we avoid being killed and captured, pounced on and killed and eaten by the cat? And one wise mouse sitting in his chair with a cane said, well, we're going to have to put a bell on the cat. And they all had a big festival, and there was grains being eaten everywhere, and people were dancing around. It was such a great idea. But then somebody came, one mouse opened his mouth and said, but who's going to put the bell on the cat? So that's the same thing here. You can have any number of pure devotees, but where are you going to get the pure devotees to be the acharyas or the gurus in your line of one guru after the other? What is the benefit? You can do religions like that. Material religions can do that way, and they already do. Hinduism is a religion. Catholicism is a religion. There are so many religions, but they're not taking you back to Godhead. Chanting Hare Krishna purely does take you back to Godhead. So for anyone to be the guru of any group of people, and then there's another guru after him, another guru after him, another guru after him,
right?
They have to be pure devotees on the same level as Srila Prabhupada. And who's going to bell the cat? Where are you going to find these pure devotees? Okay, Haribol.
Okay, he has some further comments he's making.
Great.
He's saying, what else?
That's
I will share the comments.
This is Sadhu Sangha.
He's
It's called Issagosti. He is expressing himself genuinely from the heart, and we are expressing ourselves genuinely also from the heart.
He's saying Vedic instruction is from mouth to ear, not from books or recordings.
What?
What's the difference? He's saying Vedic instruction is from mouth to ear, not from books or recordings.
What instruction?
Vedic instruction.
How do you
Vedic
spell
instruction.
that?
VEDIC. Yeah. Vedic.
VIDIC?
Yeah. He said Vedic instruction is from mouth to ear, not from books or recordings.
And it kind of go from Prabhupada's recorded mouth to your non-recorded ear?
Yeah, he's thinking relatively. Yeah.
So if Prabhupada is a pure devotee, that's transcendental, right? So what is
Yes.
the difference if it's a recording or in person?
Yeah.
People
This
actually
is the-
will listen better to recordings than they will to the person.
Yeah.
Can you imagine people listening to a insufficient speaker who's not a pure devotee, uttering the Vedic mantras, etc., and he's busy spacing out, thinking about the girl across the temple room floor? Why is that better?
Yeah.
Why is it better for someone to speak in such a way that others don't understand, and for the other people not understanding to then go on to continue that line? At least with Prabhupada, we know that it's pure. It's from
Right,
Krishna
yeah.
Loka. Let me ask this gentleman, from where are you going to hear the sound of Krishna Loka on earth except from Srila Prabhupada?
Yeah, I don't know where he's getting all this. Probably trained up in some
Well,
kind of.
You know what it boils down to is people that want a religion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
it.
the guru and the disciple, but none of them are liberated.
Yeah.
If they're not liberated, why listen?
Yeah. And I mean, that's what I followed all these years. I was constantly listening to Srila Prabhupada, even though I met many of the gurus, appointed gurus. So they.
Yeah, but what makes them gurus? I mean,
Yeah,
they're not pure
yeah.
devotees.
Yeah.
If they're pure devotees, your chanting would be just like Prabhupada.
Right.
Okay. So I don't know if the gentleman is satisfied with that answer or not.
But that's good. He's asking these types of questions because that is triggering.
Oh, these are important questions.
Yeah, because it's been recorded and archived, so in the future people can refer to this.
So we can ask, what is the difference between me saying some words or hearing the same words from a recording that are uttered by me?
What did you say? Can you repeat that?
What is the difference between me speaking live into a person, or that person hearing a recording of me speaking? Is there a difference?
No difference.
I'm not a pure devotee, but I mean, is there a difference?
No.
The only difference is you can't ask questions.
Yes. You can ask Krishna the question.
If you get on the
Super
Zoom
soul.
call, you can ask the questions. Yes.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
what I'm really
let's
trying
see.
to point out is sound vibration is sound vibration.
Yes.
100,
Pure.
200 years ago, or make it safe, 1,000 years ago, they did not have tape recorders. They didn't have digital recording devices. Now that we have it, why should we say we can't use it?
Try. All right. So we got about how many minutes, Subra? 8 minutes and 10 minutes?
Yep.
11 minutes, 12 minutes?
14 minutes.
14 minutes, yeah. Okay, so our devotees here on our Zoom meeting, any questions, comments, realizations, doubts, anything they want to express? Just looking at the last minute comments here.
Any more comments?
Yeah, this devotee is saying, he's talking about himself. He says, calm is fine. So he wants to be referred as calm. C-A-L-M.
Okay.
C-A-L-M.
Kalam. Okay.
Okay,
Kalam,
he's saying, Kalam is saying, but you have to admit you are a bit biased, LOL, laughing out loud. But you have to admit you are a bit biased, LOL. He's making that comment too, I guess.
Biased.
I'll resume it.
Oh, yeah. Well, we should say that. Yes, we're all biased. Anytime
Yes.
a person takes initiation from a pure devotee, he's become 100% biased.
Jai.
That's the problem we're talking about. People
Yeah,
that became
because
initiated by Prabhupada who are
they
not
didn't become
biased.
biased.
They
Yeah.
want to listen to this. They want to hear that. They want to go here. They want to go there. But
Mm.
why are they taking initiation from Prabhupada, who is descended from Krishna Loka, and they want to go here, they want to go there? Of course we're
Yeah.
biased.
Hare Krishna.
If you're
Yeah.
biased, if you take initiation from Prabhupada and you're 100,000% biased, you will go back to Godhead very quickly.
Jai. Yeah,
If
excellent.
you're not quite biased and you take initiation from Srila Prabhupada, you'll go back to Godhead, but not as quickly.
Jai. Okay. Then he further says,
For the disciple to be biased is 100%
normal.
required. No, not just normal, it's required.
It's required, yeah.
How can it be? That's the problem with no hard and fast rules for chanting.
No,
It's like,
yeah.
that's not required to chant like your spiritual master. Excuse me? Are you supposed to chant like somebody else's spiritual master? Why is you not required to chant like your spiritual master? And if you think they're not required to chant like him, why the hell did you take initiation from him? Why do you take initiation from someone that you don't expect to follow?
Yeah.
Oh, no hard and fast rules. Why don't you follow your spiritual master and stop this no hard and fast rules business? It's meant to say you, who are obviously not a Brahmin, can chant Hare Krishna and study with Prabhupada. Let that be your satisfaction. Not no hard and fast rules means, oh, I'm a pure devotee, spiritual master, I'm going to be a pure devotee myself, and there's no hard and fast rules. So I can chant like B.B. King, I can chant like Madonna, I can chant like,
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. I mean, why should I? Yeah, I can turn on the radio, learn the melody. I can chant like that. There's no hard and fast rules. I mean, a lot of kirtans in ISKCON are copying Hong Kong movie track sound vibrations.
Jai. Let's see if we have any more comments. The relative.
Yeah, I think
in our
you wanted someone
discussion.
to speak too, didn't you?
Me? Oh yeah, the devotee's here. So if they want to make some last minute comments, we got about 8 minutes.
Well, get them to do it. I want to hear what Mohit has and Inaik have to say about the idea. What if Srila Prabhupada chanted on recording, simply realizing that in the end, we're going to have to come back to him for kirtan, since nobody else can chant purely.
We got one comment from Lakshmi Almeida.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, go ahead, Prabhu. Yes.
Actually, I'm high on fever, bro. I'm very sorry.
Okay.
Nana Prabhu
Okay.
was taking my name,
Yes.
but I was high on fever, so couldn't speak.
Okay.
Haribol.
So yeah, Haribol.
I
So
mean,
there's a
the
comment.
conversation which is going on, it's probably
Okay.
So, Vinayak, are you on board?
Okay, there's a comment online. It's saying Lakshmi Prabhu is saying that thank you for sharing. I have been associating with Prabhupada's sound vibration for 7 years now, and he speaks to me every day through his recordings. Hare Krishna. Excellent.
Try.
It's a very nice comment.
Say that my response.
You say.
You are
yes.
okay. You are a real disciple of Prabhupada.
Jai. Excellent.
Because the disciple hears and repeats what he hears.
Yeah.
And that's why we want to chant, why ISKCON will be basically forced to use Prabhupada's recordings for the next 10,000 years to flood the world with pure sound vibration from Krishna Loka. Is there something bad about that?
Nothing is bad about Prabhupada.
No, but
Original
what about
recording,
flooding
yeah.
the world with Krishna consciousness for the next 10,000 years?
Joy, yes.
Is that a bad thing to do?
It's the best thing to do.
No kidding.
All right. Thank you very much, devotees. We got about 6 minutes. Our
Okay.
next meeting would be on Wednesday, tomorrow. So
No, Thursday.
Okay.
Thursday, yeah, Thursday. Sorry, yes. Tomorrow is Thursday. Wow. Yeah. Time is flying. Okay. If anyone has any personal questions or comments, if they like to get in contact with us, our WhatsApp link to our group is located in the description of each and every video. So they can just click in to the WhatsApp group and then join. And from there, they can contact us. All right. Any last concluding words, Narayan Prabhu? We've discussed so much from, Prabhupada's recorded conversations, lectures, kirtans, and it was a lively discussion.
And Prabhupada himself.
And Prabhupada himself, yeah. All right, then we'll end it here then, Prabhu. It's saying Hari Bol in peace. Simple living, high thinking. One devotee says.
Jai Hare Krishna.
Glorious to Prabhupada. Oh, we have
Jai,
5 more
okay.
minutes. So,
Yeah.
and the people online that is on our group, why should it'd be nice if they would express themselves in 5 minutes.
Yeah, if they want to make some last concluding comments about what they realized from the Zoom meeting, his Goshti meeting. It would be very
If
nice.
they need more time, we can go over if necessary.
Yes, yeah.
So, Mohit, what do you think?
Mohit is sick. He doesn't want to comment.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, very sorry, Prabhu. I'm having fever, so couldn't speak a lot.
Well,
But
take good care.
Hare, sure.
Okay, then I'll end it here, Prabhu. Thank you very much to all the devotees for joining. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Wait,
Thank you
4
to
more
all online
minutes.
viewers. 4
Why
more
not
minutes.
use the
Who's going to
4?
speak?
You are.
I have nothing to say. Rupa Majori, Prabhu, do you want to say anything? What do you think about the discussion?
It was a nice discussion. I think
Uh-huh.
it's good to understand that if we want the result, which is to become pure devotees ourselves, we need to cling to Prabhupada's lotus feet and follow his example. That's like doing mathematics, like 1 + 1 equals 2.
Jai. Mhm. Yeah.
And Ramachandra, can you give us your insights as to whether or not Prabhupada's recorded kirtans will become the standard, by default standard, of every ISKCON temple for the next 1,000 years?
Well, I know ISKCON Berkeley, they play Prabhupada's kirtans only. So,
But I'm talking about going to the next level, which is everybody listening to Prabhupada's kirtans, not just Prabhupada's style kirtans or what we remember of Prabhupada's kirtans, but studying Prabhupada's kirtans down to the last nuance, so that the people who lead the kirtan will be evaluated on how faithful they are to Prabhupada's recordings.
Yeah, that they have to listen and they have to understand why they have to do it first. They can, just like
have to. Don't say have to. That'll be the standard.
Yeah, that will be
have
the standard. Yes.
It sounds very oppressive. But what
that
if
will be the standard? Yes. Yeah.
What if it's the standard? You come into a ISKCON temple, they give you headsets. You want to join? Okay, here's your headsets. What are they for? This is how you learn to chant. And they sit down and hear Prabhupada chanting.
Yeah, very simple process. Yeah.
And then after 2 months, Prabhu, would you like to lead a kirtan? So the guy that was given the headsets 2 months ago comes up and starts leading a kirtan in the way Prabhupada would, using Prabhupada's melodies. Do you think it's possible that Prabhupada planned this in advance?
Yeah, Prabhupada planned everything for advance. He, I mean, he
Not
was thinking,
everything. I'm talking about this one thing.
what thing? The books? The lectures?
No, the kirtans.
Conversations? Oh, the
The
kirtans.
kirtans. Did he plan that we would have to come back to him for his kirtans in order for ISKCON to go on?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I thought my understanding was everything was a package. You know, why are we making one thing? Just like when we discuss management, we discuss direction of management. So if we talk about kirtan, Prabhupada kirtan only, and what about the other parts of the teaching? Meaning that how you want
No, I'm just talking right now about kirtan. We're not taking out the rest of the teaching.
Okay.
The teaching is in books. The teaching is in lectures. Not just hearing Prabhupada chanting, but also Prabhupada lecturing on his books. Why should we listen to somebody making something up about his books?
Okay, it's 10:01.
Jai. Okay.
It's 10, exactly.
Yeah. So we'll yeah, I'll have to dive deeper into that statement. I mean, I listen to Prabhupada lectures, conversations, kirtans only. So that's my standard.
Yeah,
And that
so, yeah, but is there any reason why that should not be the standard for ISKCON? But I'm talking about when you walk into a temple and you hear kirtan going on, either recorded or live, what kirtan should that be?
Prabhupada's kirtan only.
Well, that's the main idea that we're discussing right now.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll end it here,
Haribol.
Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Okay,
All glories to
Haribol.
Srila Prabhupada. Haribol.